Hello and welcome everyone. This is Lavender Sky Panther. Today is Friday, October 16th, 2020. And today's topic is called Red Pink East at Night. It's a collection of images and sky observations happening October 8th through 11th, 2020. And before we get into those, I'd like to say good day, osio, hao, buongiorno, guten tag, kia ora, jambo, buenos dias, bonjour, ni hao, dzień dobry, konnichiwa, dobrohonia, annyeonghaseyo, boa tarde, dobry den, aloha winala, kalimera, and guten dag. And today's starter image is just of some dragon fruit. If you're not familiar with it, it comes in a couple of varieties. This one is showing the interior, that's the part you eat, is white, a little bit like gray. Tastes similar maybe to kiwi fruit is the best you can kind of compare, at least what I can compare to. And then other varieties have a hot pink, bright magenta pink in the center, and those are a little bit sweeter. So anyway, let's jump into our sky observations. Alright, this is called Cloaking Craft in Pink Cloud at Sunset. Now I did start to see some structure happening here to the top, and some with backlighting a little bit here. You can make out a darker object and something happening here. Beyond here, there's if you can kind of squint, you might see a triangle, outlined, kind of hugged by some cloud material. So the darker part is the triangle in there. So I thought, hey, let's just see if there's anything more to see with some enhancement. Now, enhancement or enhanced photos simply means I've edited the attributes such as contrast, color, saturation, brightness, things of that nature. And that's done just to see if we can pull out any more information on some of these photos or in details. So in this case, it really didn't do too much more than what we had before. I zoomed in even further in the upper left. Here you start to see a bright point with some shadow to it. And still we have this, very curvilinear form with shadow to it. But it wasn't as much as I hoped for, so let's see what else we found this week. Alright, this is called Strange Wisp Cloud Forms. On the left, as you can see, it's pretty self-explanatory. There's kind of wisp-like activity happening down here, and then some very weird modulating, we've got some bars or some fingers like happening here. Just a really weird overall assembly of cloud with a lot of different things going on. When we look in the void, we even start to see a geometry over here and something interesting happening here. So I just thought I would capture it, and log it in, document it. When we go to the right, I put some enhancement on it to see if we could pull anything more out. And I really didn't get to much on this one, but maybe if you take a look on your own time, you might start to see more. Like already here, this looks interesting. I'm just seeing it now. Kind of an oval or elliptical shape with these two holes in it, which looks symmetrical with something dividing it. Anyway, and over here too, looks like a point of a triangular, void happening. So see what you see and see what you think is going on here. This is called Odd Cloud Geometry. On the left is the original. We're looking at area A of extra point of interest. Not only was the overall scene strange, again, all different kinds of cloud forms, types, and colors, but when we go to 8.1, we just see this very regular geometry kind of happening. Looks like sketch tracings. So we go to 8.2 with even more enhancement, and we just see some kind of weird little structure happening and going on in there. I'm not exactly sure what that is, but to me that looks like some type of craft, perhaps. See what you think. This is called Strange Electric Blue Lit Sky Beyond. On the left-hand side is the original photo, and the right is with enhancement. Now, the true color of that electric blue is somewhere in between these two photos. But what was interesting is you just sense it and you see it. It's like the entire sky goes fake and starts projecting a weird blue light. I mean, it's beautiful, but it did not feel at all natural. And I've covered that on another former show. I think it was called Sky Fun, something with orbs and colors, sky colors, where it was really evident. But it just happens every once in a while. It's really striking when you see it, and so I just wanted to capture it and, again, just kind of log it in here on the show. Alright, this is called Orblike Object in Stormy Sky. The lower photo is the original. And this I actually saw when I was going through and editing photos for the show. And I saw this bright, bright point, and then it was not in the frame before or the frame after, because I'd taken multiple photos of the same scene. Now, zooming in, I definitely see some structure and character of this. So we're, again, looking at different contrasts and zoom-ins on it. And to me, that is definitely an object of some kind. Now, is it a craft of a very small size, or is it just something that races around and produces cloud or light? Who knows? Or it's some other entity that I'm not familiar with. Either way, see what you think is going on with that thing. This is called Red Pink Orb or Other Light Source in Sky. Now what's interesting about this, kind of similar to the other pairing I had before, if you look at the left it's the original, the right is the enhancement. The true color of this thing was somewhere in between the two. But what happened is when I was looking southwest, and it was after 7 p.m., towards sunset, this thing emerged. It just seemed to glow and get a little bit brighter, a little bit redder in intensity too, very localized up in here. And it reminded me, excuse me, one second. Okay, I'm back, sorry. So this whole thing reminded me of a similar scene that I saw this at the time of when a hurricane was coming and or coming nearby, making a pass nearby where we are. And the sky was really stormy and this orb or this light source, just like this, although that one was a little more ethereal, this seems a little more concrete, but it just kind of just started growing out of nowhere overhead. So I'm looking at the right-hand side of the enhanced photo just to see what exact territory this thing had of this pink color signature. And as you can see, it kind of, really expanded out here. But it was very strange in character, and it has strange cloud in front of it too, covering it. So I'm not sure what that is. I tend to think it's got to be some type of cloaking craft of some sort, although albeit not cloaking that well, obviously, if it has that beautiful color. Anyway, see what you think is going on. Okay, this is called Artificial Cloud Form with Objects Atop. So the left-hand photo and actually the upper left and the lower left are originals. So where I have A, I'm looking at this area of interest. Now the overall cloud assembly looks artificial for many reasons that I cover in previous shows. Not only the overall shape, but just the character of the edges and how it behaves, and it wells up out of nowhere in a vertical-like fashion and then puddles out. But if you look at the right, when I zoomed in on 8.1, this very sleek curve, looks like it has a design to it. This also looks like it could be some type of object, perched out here on the top. And so to me, these are, definitely craft of some type, cloaked behind material or just straight out, on the top, because it's hard to tell from this distance if there's even any cloaking material on it. But I have definitely noticed, covered in a previous show too, something like with clouds on the rim. Cloaking Craft and craft, perching on top of these cloud rims. I've been seeing this a lot lately. So my guess is that those are craft of some type. All right, this is called What's Up With That Rainbow, and the upper left is the original photo. A is going to be the area of interest. We go to 8.1 down here below in an enhanced version, and we see that rainbow segment. It just kind of slams into something and stops. And so this angle of the darker shadow happening to the left of where my cursor is seems to be a line where this thing is just moving along and then bam, like hitting a wall. So I'm not sure what's going on in here. Also, what's odd is that we have a bright white cloud right by all of this gray activity. So 8.2 above, I'm just trying to look and see with more enhancement if we can see anything. And all it does is kind of exaggerate the fact of this, really white part of cloud, and then this thing, and then it's, slamming into whatever's happening on that angle. This is called Strange Cloud Forms, and on the left is the original. And it was just really strange, not only the angle of these things, just the character of it, and the fact that we had this wispy ball of different lighted, different lit material happening. And then where A is, we have these like 3 individual balls or kind of ellipses. It was really strange. And here where my cursor is looks like the outline of a triangle in there. And then we go to 8.1 to see if we can pull anything more out on these things. I really didn't get too much more information. So we go up here to 8.2, still not so much, but to me it looks like something's going on in here. And then in here as well. So see what you think. As always with all of these photos, I may miss some things hiding in there. Have a look and see if you see anything, and as always, let me know in the comment section below if you see anything interesting. Okay, this is called Odd Clouds, an object within an object, question mark. So the lower left is the original photo, and you can clearly see the outline of a triangle. And then there's this little object happening within it, and something here too. So we're going to look at A and B in a little more detail with more enhancement. So 8.1, look, we have these curves, and it looks like definitely some kind of structure thing here. And then B1, this looks like it could be some type of an object with a trail behind it. So we go to A2.8.2 and B.2 to see if with a little more enhancement and zoom in we can see anything better. This is starting to look like maybe an overall structure with, 2 holes, toward the back or front. Who knows what this thing is. And I don't really get too much more at what this is, so we go further with more enhancement and color changes just to see if we can see this in a different way. And this is still looking like the back end of something to me, maybe a craft, a cloaking craft. And this thing is shooting up to me out of somewhere, so I'm not sure what that is still, even with more enhancement, but see what you think it is. This is called What is Blocking the Sun here exactly? So we're looking at the glow of this apparent sun, or I put sun in quotes because I do believe we have solar tech that's veiling the original sun. Some people will refer to it as a solar simulator, which has documented and proven patents from the 1960s that were even pulled. And there could be a series of lamp work, lens arrays, all kinds of things that could be going up on there around the sun. But definitely the appearance of the sun has changed, especially in the last decade. It's now white and glaring. The heat is much different in character and burning people in different ways, at least where I am in Florida. So there's a lot to it if you haven't been noticing. Do have a look at my other shows that reference it, and also other YouTube channels that do Earth and Sky watching. And you'll hear things referred to also other than solar simulators, artificial sun, second sun. There's just a lot going on that it's worth some extra attention to it if you're not familiar with it already. Anyway, what is going on here, regardless of what's going on with the sun itself? This stuff is veiling in front of it. This is really dark, so is that some type of cloaking craft happening in there? You know, what's going on in here with this stuff, and it has different color signatures. And then we have a plane that just happened to be going by all of this stuff. Then this is called What is Blocking the Sun? Rectangular Shadows. So here, look at this. This is a clear edge, and it looks like some more veiling activity happening in here. But it's always like right exactly in front of the quote-unquote sun. We go up to the upper right. You can just see that notch. You know, it's got a right angle to it. And then A1 and 2 is just further enhancement and zoom-ins of this area A, because regardless of what strange activity is happening over here, there's something strange happening up there too. And so we look at 8.1, it looks like a clear circle, like the end of a pipe or a hose or something. And then we go to A2 just to kind of get at a little bit better what could that be, and just have more questions than answers, unfortunately. But it does look like some structure of some type to me. Looks very symmetrical in here, and obviously with a circular opening or exhaust at the end. See what you think is going on. This is called Unusual Cloud Form Assembly at Sunset, and upper left is the original photo. So we got weird, two types of very different cloud formations happening in the same area. This lower one is very specific. So with enhancement on this lower photo, we just see that really pink, signatures, the warm color signatures, which were evident to the naked eye, just this is a little more pronounced in the lower photo. But look at this, it's got a very straight edge at the bottom of this thing, it's got a notch in the middle. It's just all very strange. So we're going to look at that little notch cloud a little bit better, at least with more enhancement. And I blew out the brightness on it a little bit more to see if we get at what could be going on in here. And I get little clues of things, but nothing really jumping out at me. There's something a little weird happening over here. And this is a flock of some type of black birds, going along at the bottom. But, see what you think could be hiding in there. To me, it's definitely concealing something. It's just an odd-looking cloud, not a natural one at that. This is called Odd Pink Clouds at Sunset looking east. This time the pink clouds and the pink hue of the clouds are happening here beyond. It even gets a little greenish over here where my cursor is. Got really otherworldly light happening back in here. It was all very strange. Then we get this very chaotic activity of cloud happening in the front. I'm just going to use cloud in quotes because it looks very artificial to me. Then we have more natural looking ones happening back here and bright white happening at the top. Just the overall scene was just so mystifying. Anyway, have fun having a look and see what you think is going on in there. This is called Strange Cloud Form Assembly at Sunset. This time we're looking northeast. Now this is really interesting. The upper left is the original photo, and the lower one is enhanced. So look at this thing. So is this one overall cloaking craft? And it could be interdimensional, not just 3D, hard to say. Or is this just a series of a different form of overall cloak, where there are individual objects or crafts hiding within this? So I think that's definitely, this has hard edges and looks like a rhombus. So to me, that this shape too and this shape are all really odd, very triangular form. They could definitely be craft cloaking in there. Also, we get up to here and look at the circle, or like an ellipse or an oval attached to something else that looks like it has structure to it. And over here, it reminds me of a similar thing. So I'm just led to believe this is either one overall assembly and it's got a very interesting cloaking system, or more likely that there are just several independent craft hiding in this mess. I use fondly the term mess here, just like hard to explain what's going on. Alright, this is called Colorful Clouds at Sunset, and there are going to be quite a few of these with the same title, just looking in different directions. So now we're looking east. The top is looking northeast. And this is just kind of an overlay. Instead of doing a clean panorama, I don't know why I did this, but I just have a few different photos, so I've overlaid them. It's not perfect, but you get the idea. The true color was more like what was happening right between these two. So one was pale, and then for whatever reason the color changed a little bit. But it still was vibrant. But here we go, all different kinds of crazy, that's just called, all I can say is that's like a crazy cloud. Over here to the right, that's very artificial looking, again for reasons that I cover in other shows, where it just wells up and puddles out in a really weird way. Something is manufacturing that and spreading it outward, and it's not natural. The lower left, again, is getting a different view on that, the face of that thing as it puffs out and puddles out. And then we have some interesting features pulling up here, so I tried to zoom in and draw that out a little bit more, but I didn't really get to anything concrete. Here's just a beautiful color range happening behind this more white cloud, and it really was this color. This is not enhanced. But what was strange about this one was this weird zoom up of this this cloud puff, leaving a seeming trail. I mean, I've never seen that happen on normal natural cloud formations. So to me, there must be something cloaking in there. And it also, there's no wind really to speak of any kind. And this was all very low overhead, so didn't quite explain why one little puff would go rogue and go straight up. Here, it's just an odd juxtaposition of this very low bar happening, this horizontal thing, with these other, more puffy, white clouds right next to it. Kind of no real natural explanation for that happening, especially in subtropical Florida, which is where this is taken. But what's interesting is that this does start to look like Cloaking Craft, because it does have such an unusual, out-of-character, smoothness to it. And, again, that's just something that doesn't form really naturally, at least not in the past several decades, in South Florida. All right, more color, as we have the apparent sunset happening to the west. And it got really vibrant. It got even more pink and purple than what is showing here from my camera phone. But again, this is artificial in nature, because we've got this long, straight edge happening here. Could also be Cloaking Craft in there, hard to say. Now this is looking to the west, and what's odd about this is we've got the red-pink color. We've got smoother cloud forms, even though they're very close to in the sky to where those other ones were just now, those big puffier ones. But then we've got this golden, peach, even orange. Again, my camera doesn't always pick up the subtleties of the beautiful ranges of the colors. But we notice that here it's like moving along that same plane. It gets interrupted by a blinding, white veiling happening. So to me, there's definitely tech in the sky, veiling what we can see. All of this looked fuzzy and muted, and so there was some heavy cloud or plasma or some type of other veiling mechanism at play, just muting out this overall scene. Now what's interesting is this red-pink color popping up, and I do cover this on other shows, and I have a little bit of a starting point, if you're not familiar with this, in the description box below, to look out for the potential of a planetary body, I like to say just offshore, just in the Earth's neighborhood, somewhere out there, that's casting this red-pink, light source, color in the skies consistently now. So see what you think about that. People refer to it by many names, and just look at my previous shows on that. Anywhere you see the word red in the title especially, and also look at the various YouTube Earth and Sky watching channels out there. They show a lot of great, credible evidence from all around the world, with people like me just making direct observations of where we are, and also looking at space instruments and other things to see what could be going on. Alright, this is called Diving Sky Object at Sunset. The left is the original, the right's the enhancement, and the upper are also further enhanced and zoomed in. So actually I saw this again once I was editing. I didn't really catch it, out in the field, but I'm looking, and as we zoom in, we see there's a tail to this thing, a little bit of a split tail, and the head of this object, it looks like it has symmetry, two little rounded, I don't even know what you want to say, rounded profile with a split in it. And it has some shadow to it as well. So this is a nice curiosity. See what you think it could be. Alright, this is called Odd Pink Clouds at Sunset, and up the upper left is A, is the original, and you can just see kind of like a rectangular form happening down there, kind of crashing down on an angle with some weird cloud activity around it. So the lower photo is an enhancement of it. You just see it a little bit better. You know, it's definitely rectilinear in form with a right angle. And what started to catch my attention, this looks like something could be happening in there too, you know, like Cloaking Craft or something. But down here at A1, it started to get really clear to me that looks like the end of a pipe, you know, taking a right-hand turn. So we're going to look up here at A2, you know, just with some more enhancement, see if we can see anything. And I still see clear rim around and shadow of a pipe of some sort. I'm not sure what this is doing and if this is like the end of, you know, something bigger like a ring form or whatever, but just very odd. See what you think is going on. Alright, this is called Red Pink Clouds. It's sunset east at night, so this is the cover photo, and this is exactly how it looked at 7:30 p.m. looking east. It was already dark out. There was no evidence of any sunset going down just opposite to this at the west. So it really looked like something was either generating this coming from the east beyond, or this whole assembly had its own light generation, which is very possible. So anyway, see if you're noticing this kind of phenomenon wherever you are. I only catch it occasionally. It's very bizarre. Anyway, see what you think. Okay, well, this is the photo of the week. It's just if you've looked at any of my other shows, I do try to include one of these once in a while, just for fun with wordplay. But anyway, it's a result of a Scrabble board game, and we go by the criteria of not playing for points and just using positive or neutral words wherever possible. So anyway, I thank you for listening to me spell some things out here a while, and it is Friday, so I hope you're having a beautiful one wherever you are in the world, and a beautiful weekend ahead. And as always, I wish you all the best and tremendous peace. Lavender Sky Panther, bye.